Welcome back to the Boys Report. So where we left off is I've been doing I'm working on a series, the 5 question series, and going into training camp, there's been 5 questions that have been on my mind that I wanted to share with all of you. Among them, I think one of the biggest questions is whether or not we get some impact play from the strong safety position, where we've been looking for, almost a decade now, really, for the heir to Mr. Darren Woodson, one of my favorite Cowboys of all time. So, with that being said, I was researching, and luckily I was able to get an interview with our projected starting strong safety, Gerald Sensabaugh. So I want you guys to go over to my site, www.boysguru.com, and check it out. So I'm having it on an internet radio program that I'm going to be doing throughout the season with a variety of guests, hopefully more players, but Gerald was able to grant me an interview, my 5 question segment. So I have 5 questions I'm going to throw at him. Hopefully you guys like the questions and like what I'm going to throw at him, and hopefully we can gauge a little more info on Gerald and what to expect from him this upcoming season. I'm expecting when you look at Gerald and his ability, he seems more of a free safety in a strong safety body. He's big, he's got freakish athletic ability, but he seems more rangy and cover. All the things you're hearing is his cover ability, his ability, and quite frankly, we need that desperately. I still have in my head the visions of Roy Williams. He was so good, but he did have his flaws, obviously, because he's not with the team anymore. But he just got shredded. Sean Payton just, that New Orleans Saints game, they did everything. They isolated him. The Giants did the same thing. I mean, Shockey just destroyed them twice a year. And it just, the Redskins game, getting beaten twice at the end of the game, that just, there was very few games in the regular season that get me more agitated than that one. The Philly one, the finale last year, was certainly one of them. But I digress. So, with that being said, we need a guy that has some range, and it seems to me that with Sensabaugh and his cover skills, and Hamlin being a former strong safety, that these two are going to be very much like the Darren Woodson Roy Williams combo, where it doesn't matter who's strong, who's free. It just matters where the responsibilities lie. So I think, in some of the videos I was watching, it seemed to me that Gerald, Sensabaugh, was put more as a cover 2 guy, just to cover the deep half of the field, as opposed to shadowing tight ends. In our scheme, I think one play in particular that comes to mind was Vernon Davis. He had a big bomb against us in that Niner game, and Keith Davis was on him, man to man, and he just couldn't hang at all. It was just, he got torched. But we ask of our safeties to do a lot of cover responsibilities. No more of this Mike Zimmer 2-deep crap that just is a very passive defense. I'm not a big Phillips fan for a lot of things, but he's a solid coach, and what I do like was under Parcells, we were very passive, and I love aggressive defenses. We only got 8 turnovers, 8 interceptions out of our DB last year, and I believe 4 of them came by Newman, and I think 2 of them were one game, and then I think Jenkins got 1 for that TD against the Giants. I think Henry got 1, and Hamlin, I think, got another 1. But we're facing this year, we're facing Jeremy Shockey with the Saints. We're facing our NFC East rivals. Their tight ends aren't maybe as name brand oriented as they were with Shockey, but Cooley's tough. So we have him twice a year. He hasn't really killed us like Shockey has. Selleck is the new starter in Philly, and I actually think he's a really good player as a receiver, and maybe not necessarily as a blocker, but I think he's a pretty darn good receiver. So we have to take care of those guys. But this year, and it's crucial that Sensabaugh really steps it up if we're going to ask him to cover, because he's got to cover Vernon Davis, who torched us last year. He's got to cover Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Kellen Winslow, Tony Scheffler from Denver, very good pass catcher. Let's see if there's anybody else I'm missing with our schedule. It's pretty tough. And then with the Raiders, look out for Zach Miller. That guy's a heck of a player. I mean, they have a lot of problems with him. That's Zach Miller. He reminds me a lot of Jason Witten, actually, and I get to see some Raider games out where I'm from. So we got a lot of tight ends that we need to shut down. I'm going to talk to Gerald on his plans to do so. Maybe I'll sprinkle in a question on Jesse Holley. Congratulations to Jesse Holley on winning the 4th and long. To be honest, Jesse, I was kind of pulling for Hawkins. I don't know. I have a thing for little guys that play a lot bigger. I actually thought maybe we'd have a shock and that the two of you would have been selected, because I actually think the two of you are probably an upgrade over some of the bottom feeders on the wide receiver depth chart. But that is going to be for the next episode here. So the next episode, I'm going to be covering the wide receiver core, namely the depth. The depth is something that a lot of teams don't have wide receiver depth. I think our depth is very questionable at the moment, and I think it's one of our biggest questions, one of the 5 going into training camp. So go to my site, check that out, and be sure to leave some comments. Let me know what you think. I like some feedback. I get some good feedback off these videos, and I appreciate all the good words that go out from my fellow Boys fans. I appreciate that. But I can take constructive criticism as well. If there's something you want to see, I'm not going to necessarily cater to everybody's needs, but at the same time, anything to make these broadcasts better, my webpage better, it's all about improvement. So let me know, and hope you guys like the interview, and we'll take it from there. Wide receivers are next. All right, check out the interview. BoysGuru.com. Peace.